Compared to protagonists, villains are often the ones in media, franchise, series, etc. that serve some of the strongest fashion and style. And I know in this Pokemon series so far, we've mostly talked about gym leaders and trainers. Let's talk antagonists. Hola, my name is X, and I like to experiment with fashion as well as talk about whatever the hell I want on social media whenever I feel like it. And in this video, we have a lot to cover because unlike my other videos, I'm not going to cover the antagonist groups by region like I have with the leaders and the champions. I'm just going to take a full sweep look at all of these antagonist groups and villainous teams. I've pivoted over to consulting the Bulbapedia predominantly moving forward just because it's so much better organized and it helps me not miss any sort of gaps like when I consult the Pokemon fandom wiki. And with that, I was pleasantly surprised that there are some really interesting side spin-off series antagonist groups that are serving some interesting style. We're going to cover those in a separate video, so we're only going to focus on the mainline Pokemon franchise games for this video. What I love about the villainous groups across the Pokemon franchise is we get a vast array of different aesthetics, styles, vibes, energy. It was really fun looking at all of the different creative depictions and different coordination that was going on with these groups and teams. Which brings me into the structure of this video. I'm going to rank the teams in a little bit of an informal order of least favorite to most favorite. And then as far as how I'm assessing them, I'm focused on aesthetics. I'm a bit superficial to start. It's really just based on what resonates with me the most. And if I can discern with my instincts kind of what a little bit of insight about the characters that I may not have researched and touched on. And I love when people respectfully and with class demonstrate their knowledge and insight in the comments. That just contributes to conversation and community. But I did loosely consult a little bit of context in skimming the Bulbapedia on each of the groups and some of the antagonist members. The lore and the details, this isn't a deep dive, right? This isn't an iceberg on the history of the characters and the teams. So I'm not so concerned about as much contextual lore in influencing my opinion. We're going based off of how the aesthetics resonate with my personal taste. Sweet, now let's kick this fashion review and analysis off, starting with Team Yell. Least favorite, no-brainer. I do love an alternative punk style outfit. This is just a little too much. It's predominantly the face paint for me that takes me completely out of the looks. And I also just think that the silhouettes of the characters aren't very flattering. But in consulting the wiki to discover that they're really just super fans, they're a really great reflection of the problem with stan culture. So when I look at Piers, obviously there's some great coordination with his team and him as the boss or the leader. But he has a bit more white incorporated in the look, which I feel like opens it up and diversifies the palette a little bit more, and even adds a touch of class. And especially when we look at all the villain groups and the leaders in concert, Team Yell just isn't, they're yelling, but it's not resonating. I have a similar feeling about Team Skull. Again, I love an alternative style, and I feel like theirs is cleaner. And I would actually kind of maybe wear some of these pieces, but the skulls are not a favorite motif of mine. And their motivations are they lost the competitions and now they're just trying to scrape by being a bandit group. Like, again, in concert with the other villain groups, I just feel like this is a bit lacking, and even the designs kind of do fall flat. When we start looking at individual leader members and admins, Gladion, love this outfit. Loving the shoulder pads, loving the red elements. That just kind of helps break away from the flat black and white. I love the little kind of utility pouch or belt that he has going on. It's just simple, but there's some nice textural elements and color pieces that pop. Even though it's pretty dark, it could be kind of flat, but it just also emulates his hairstyle pretty well too. So I'm really liking the simplicity, but sharpness in his look. I feel like Team Skull resembles Plumeria's look the most, but she, again, has some other kind of elements to help it not look so flat, the kind of baggier jeans. I love that zigzag design on the side as well. Just kind of gives it a little more energy and a little more distraction. Loving her crop top with the X straps around the belly. And I'm also just loving the kind of pink tattoo or body paint that she has going on. Coordinates very nicely with her hairstyle and hair color. Again, not the biggest fan of skulls, but just having those as little hair clips or kind of ponytail bands, it's really cute. But I do have to admit that Guzma is very swag. I just feel like if there was maybe a little more bling, I would have been into the entire group in general. Like if the group had a little more gold to kind of reflect his style, or even just some yellow. I just love his big statement chain and how that coordinates very well with his sunglasses or goggles on his head. We love a jacket and just how that adds some dimension to the look. And I do like that he has kind of those X crosses, white crosses at the cuff of the pants, and how that just leans really well into the shoes. I almost missed that gold watch. Just love his gold element so much. So Team Galactic is interesting because I love the kind of futuristic space suit situation that we have going on here. But I feel like they're really just a carbon copy of Team Rocket, but just a little more interstellar, for lack of a better way to put it. I do like some of the kind of silver band elements. It just kind of adds some texture and really sells that futuristic vibe. But otherwise, I just don't really feel like there's a lot going on here. And the G emblem is kind of cool and stands out amongst all of it, but just the grunts aren't really giving it. Speaking of Charon, I think that's a good example of just kind of some of the flatness that we're getting. I mean, I know the character's a bit more of what looks like a scientist oriented with the lab coat, but I mean, there's not much going on here. But when we get into some of the more main interesting looking admins, I'm liking Jupiter's look with mostly just really that leg asymmetrical play that she has going on. Love some body confidence, especially in a little peekaboo of the thigh. But otherwise, again, this is just kind of flat. I even like maybe the kind of what looks like bodice area, or like more of like the torso upper body part of the suit, just kind of surrounds her chest nicely and just kind of gives even a nice mature look, but I'm not really feeling it the most. Saturn is very flat. Like he might as well just be a grunt, which is very disappointing. I'm just like, these characters especially need a little bit more beyond the hairstyle just to sell the fantasy, and I don't really get anything from this. Mars is the closest to kind of giving us something a bit more interesting, and I find it curious that her dress is like almost like Saturn rings. I don't know why she wouldn't have been like more of a Saturn character. I don't know. That's nitpicky and petty. Again, like that kind of upper body framing, but outside of the skirt giving some dimension, we're just not getting much more here. And what's interesting is Cyrus does have the best outfit out of all of them. We're just getting a kind of interwoven design with the white, the black, and the silver. But for a boss especially, I would expect just not necessarily over the top extra elements just for the sake of it. But again, this is a very flat looking design. I mean, maybe based on their galactic motivations, like that's the point, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it makes for the strongest aesthetic, right? So with that being said, I definitely like Team Rocket over Team Galactic. Like Team Rocket walked so that Team Galactic could run, so to speak. Even though theirs is kind of just as flat and simple, I mean, they're the blueprint. Like they set the tone, and we can kind of see how even subsequent villainous and antagonist groups emulate the kind of structure and coordination that I feel like, and the precedent that Team Rocket set. So I just really like, especially for the time of the premiere, just how they look, their statement belts, their tall boots, and the women have a lot of body confidence going on. So I just really felt like this was such a strong, simple, and coordinated look for them. I think Archer and Ariana serve the Team Rocket looks the best, even beyond Jesse and James. We know Jesse and James are iconic, but these two, their looks are just a bit more differentiated and just look a bit more chic and official, which is why I obviously am leaning towards theirs the most. Like when we look at Archer, his shirt just has like some nice kind of cuts that I don't think James's fully has, and it just looks overall a little more polished. And for Ariana, same thing. There's just some additional black elements that really stand out. And even though I love Jesse's body confident look, even a little bit more than this, I think I like the elegance that Ariana's giving us with overall a dress. I just think it looks really chic. And Petrol and Proton, I really think I like the black suits almost better than the white ones, just with the white gloves and boots standing out really well against the black. and the belt too. It just looks so interesting to me, especially then we have some red bands around the boots and the gloves as well. Overall, I think the black is giving stronger. Next, we have Team Plasma. I like the grunt design because it is a little bit different than I think some of the others. Maybe it's the mask and maybe it's the hat and some of the decorative elements that just feel a little more interesting to look at, but also they just feel like French bandits. Like they just look like little berets. They just look like French assassin bandits in a good way, chic ones. And what's interesting about Team Plasma is we have some characters like Colress who kind of, I think, continue that aesthetic, and I feel like really reflects the divided kind of goals and ambitions between the different group members. But I love his statement lab coat, just with all of those different elements on top of them. Even the lining of the jacket seemed to have some interesting decoration, and I almost love how it's just like pant boots combined with a little bit of silver heel and toe, just to really pop and not let it look too flat. And I also love his glasses and how it curls around his head. That is so interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. This is such a strong look. Anthea and Concordia are giving this nice, soft, I would even say pastel, but at least just kind of slightly washed colors. They just feel so inviting and just so comfy and wholesome, even though they're part of an antagonist group. I mean, they reflect more of the, I think, positive Pokemon-oriented ambitions. I've talked about complementary colors before, and I feel like they reflect this really well, where we have some green and pink going on, and then we have some yellow and blue. Their skirts are cute, giving some asymmetrical swoop, and their tops are also a little dimensional, just with how they're kind of tied or laid, or even a little baggy in some areas. Really cute. Zinzolin is really interesting. I think that I'm biased because of the purple color, but also I just like, honestly, the roundedness of the look. Surprisingly, like, maybe not always the most flattering silhouette on everybody, but here it's really working just because we have the collar of the jacket circular and surrounding, giving some extra dimension, and it kind of plays and moves well into the hat, which just emulates more of that roundedness. And when we look at the other 7 sages, like, his look is the most standout, while some of the other 5 just seem really repetitive and redundant. So I like that this one has a little more nuance to his. But Getsis might very well be serving the strongest out of everybody. I love the overwhelming just consumption of that black, or how the black jacket consumes him. And even though those eye designs are a bit creepy and just kind of honestly weird, and I wouldn't buy it because of that, I do think it kind of actually adds some dimension just with the different gradient of the gray colors. And I like that there's like gold or yellow bands around the wrists for a little bit of texture, but also just to help break us out of some of that overwhelming dark tone of the gray and the black. And similar to Anthea and Concordia, I feel like N definitely gives more of that organic color palette and vibe. Like, neutral colors, which just kind of gives earth and nature, but it's also kind of like sporty and cool. I don't know. It's just like the sneakers and the hat, but also the top doesn't look like too casual. It looks like it's just kind of a nice, comfortable button-up or tunic, and then some slacks. He's cool. He could pull off that full antagonist fantasy, but he also just has more duality to him. And I feel like the outfit really does that justice. Okay, moving on to Team Aqua. I debated. I played Sapphire over Ruby because I like blue better than red, and I like water instead of fire, and I like that Pokemon Kyogre, I believe it was, over the other one. And so I definitely loved Team Aqua when I played the game, but when I look at some of their redesign, it's not fully giving as much as Team Magma is, which we'll get there. I do love the body confidence, and I actually used to draw when I was younger, and I loved drawing the girl characters with their crop tops and their bandanas, but I'm out of my Pirates of the Caribbean phase, so just doesn't feel as sharp as some of the other teams. Now, I loved Shelly's design even in the original Sapphire game. It doesn't give as much of that kind of pirate to piratey vibe like it did before. It just gives more of like a genuine official kind of aquatic Atlantis oriented kind of style. I love obviously the body confidence. I like the little peak on the shoulder. I like some of the gold elements around the waist. I just like also the pants, and I feel like this is a common theme we see through with the other two guys in the team. Just like that cool kind of almost tubular, I don't know how else to call it, like a tubular design that does kind of feel futuristic, or maybe like underwater suit oriented. I don't know how to describe it, but I love the circular elements on the outfit. Now Matt is a little bit of that kind of shirtless kind of character that I'm like, ugh, it's not the most fashion because like we're relying on the body to be the full statement here. But similar to Shelly, it's just that interesting circular design boot pant situation that is just so interesting. Like again, like a underwater swimsuit kind of gear. But what's interesting about his is even though he's shirtless, he has like some fabric around his neck paired with an interesting gold chain that just also coordinates well with the cross gold chains or belts that he has around his waist. So loving, even though we're getting mostly body, we're getting some nice accessorizing, including the gloves. Similar to Matt, Archie's redesign is just so much more interesting to look at. In the game, the suit was just so flat. But here we're getting so much more dimension, we're getting texture and design, and again, loving those gold or hardware elements as far as the accessories around the waist, around the neck. And I just like the differentiation of his colors especially. Lots more, I think, bright blue, which pops really nicely against all of the darker blue that is dominating his outfit. And we even get a nice V-neck line, which we kind of got in the original suit, just with a nice collar too. Loving this. But like I said, and I think it's the redesign that did it for me, Team Magma is kind of serving really hard. We're also getting some body confidence with the girls, just with some cutesy kind of like skirt or like shorter short design. But overall, there's just so much more dimension going on with their outfits. I hate the horns on the hoods. That's what took me out of it originally. Can't stand it. But I get that it's like Pokemon coordination. But they also have similar elements that Team Aqua did. It just looks so much sharper with this team. Tabitha is a great example of a bigger build character that is just looking so sharp and chic without having to be overly round, you know? Like, I think it's the black at the bottom of the jacket that just kind of helps break up what could have been a really round, almost balloon-like design if it wasn't there to kind of break up some of the red. I love just the big statement boots. So cool. And then the nice gold elements around the wrist, almost like some luxurious watch or bracelet accessorizing, which also Team Aqua had, but here it just looks so much more structured and just so much more sophisticated. But Courtney's look is so cute. Love the boots. Love the kind of how the shirt, or like almost like a dress, kind of covers the shorts and gives us some great dimension with the black and the red just kind of cascading away from her waist. I love this. And the gloves, just again, we have that gold like accent around the wrist, which is so nice. Hate the horns. But here I can kind of give it a little more of a pass because they're not black and they coordinate nicely with the gold elements. So it does still feel luxurious and not too campy. Maxie's is just so classic. Again, looking at the original game, so flat. And I even liked Archie's better in the game than Maxie's, but Maxie's redesign, just so chic. I want the jacket so much. Similar to Tabitha, having those interesting black elements towards the bottom just gives so much more intrigue to the jacket and breaks it up and coordinates nicely with this shirt and just kind of some of the elements on the lapel of the jacket. Loving the belt, even though honestly, I think we could have used a little bit more gold here. I like how his team members or admins have more gold that's prominent in statement than he does, which is fine, but at least he has some really cool boots just to add more dimension. It would have been interesting to maybe see pants with the boots over it. So next I want to talk about the Macro Cosmos team. I do like how the league staff or the grunts have a really cool athletic design. Honestly, their design's borderline somewhat better than even some of the gym leaders, which is why I reimagined them. I would have liked if the athletic gear could have remained more prominently with the grunts and the staff. I feel like that's kind of a key part of the Pokemon series, is these teams these villainous teams have clear, distinct styles away from everybody else. But I do like just kind of the interplay between the black and the white. It doesn't look flat because there's just enough clothing elements to give that dimension and texture. Elena's look is so fierce. I mean, what is going on here? That amazing white jacket going on her coat, loving it, loving the red blouse and how it's just so flowy. And I feel like also reflects and echoes some of that flowiness of the jacket. Loving, again, even just what looks like maybe a black skirt underneath that, which just gives even more kind of cascading, small cascade. And I've always said how some like sheer stockings just adds more of that maturity and elevation to the look. So not surprising to see that a professional like her would have that. And I like the kind of black choker that she has and how it goes inward to her chest under the top. There's just nice layering going on here. I think that's the strongest element of her outfit. But looking at Chairman Rose, he is the potential that I feel like Giovanni could have continued to embody through the series instead of reassembling Team Rainbow Rocket with that flat suit. This is the full potential that Giovanni should have been allowed to consistently embody. Loving the three-piece suit. Loving the three-piece suit and loving the shoes mostly. I was about to say like I wasn't gonna rate them as high because this is pretty standard. We've seen suits before, but the shoes are just so sharp. I don't think I've ever seen some dress shoes like that, and obviously coordinates well with the belt and then the tie. And don't play, you know he's got some gold in the mix. He's got a gold little pin on the lapel and he's got a gold watch. Like, it's just so fresh, and just with the hairstyle, he's kind of giving Robert Garcia from KOF. Speaking of sophistication, Team Flare really took that almost kind of like corporate suit and polished design and really got creative and futuristic with it. The grunts are just so sharp. They're honestly among some of the sharpest in the whole series, even though they're not the top fave. I love the bold red design, and there's just the right use of black and white to peek through to not make it feel like a blast, an overwhelming hot flare in your face. It's just enough to break it up and add that chic touch to also not make it look silly. And I love their belt buckles. There's just really sharp elements going on here. Almost like instead of men in black, men in red, or people in red. And even looking at the admins, I like that we kind of inverted that and went all white with these with some more of the red accents. I just think it's so fresh and definitely gives more of that official vibe. Sarazik, I don't even know where to even start with that. X is looking interesting. He's my least favorite admin. The all pale skin tone is kind of creepy and kind of takes me out of it, to be honest. And I was just saying with Tabitha how if it's too much red, like just a solid color that makes it just look more round and doesn't really complement the silhouette, that's exactly what's happening here. Even though we do have kind of the blue in the pocket to kind of help break some of that up. And we do have some white elements, but I think the overwhelming red is just a little too much. And I don't even really think that the blue gloves are a great complement to the overall look. Aliana's dress is super cute, more with like a ruffled or rigid or sharp kind of like pleat or trim to the bell of the dress. And I like that it's black, which is a nice kind of differentiation from the white. I think the white would have just been a little on the nose. And I think they did black because it goes directly into the stockings, which I hate. I don't like the stockings at all. I know that they each kind of needed to have a statement color. I maybe think her color shouldn't have been yellow. I think it should have been something else. But I don't like it, and especially just with like the knee hanging out. Not my favorite, but the boots are super cute. The dress is super cute. Celosia, now this is how you do it. Black stockings was a much better choice, and I feel like it just gives so much attitude in concert with just maybe her body language here. Just so nonchalant and so effortlessly chic. And I like that it's almost like a shorts bodysuit oriented thing with some nice shoulder pads, and I like that the black is continued in the arms as well. And I just like that there's overall more black in concert with the red and the white instead of just red and white. But I also obviously love the purple in here, whether it just be in her hair, in her eyepiece, or at the bottom of her shoes. I just think it's so thoughtfully incorporated, and I just overall like the slimness of the silhouette that she's got going on. Brioni, again, I think I'm loving more so the silhouette of that like shorts bodysuit situation. But I love that she's giving us some body confidence. And I like that the boots are a little taller and have a black trim. I love the smart strategic use of black in these different outfits. It just feels very custom, it feels tailored, and it feels specific, really giving good differentiation to each of the characters. Green, I love that it's not such a prominent element in the outfit, like how the yellow stockings were. I like that it's just focused in the necktie, the hair, and the eyepiece. Now, this is how you do the dress look. I love that we have the black around the trim of and their belt or the pleat of the skirt, but we also have some undershorts, which I'm sure the other character had as well, but like we just couldn't see it based on her pose. I love and I like that she's got the tall boots instead of some stockings. I just think the taller boots with the skirt is just an overall better coordination and combination. And again, loving the blue and that it's not dominating or being too much of a statement element within the rest of the outfit. That it's just, once again, focused on the necktie, the eyepiece, and the hair. It's just cute. Malva is serving so hard. Those pants are out of control. I love that diamond cutout situation going on. I love the two-tone element of the pants, love the heels, love the body confidence, love the top, love the glasses. Like, this is an absolute serve. This is a right hand. But Lysandre, wow. Oh my gosh. This black suit is crazy. I don't even like and the red is just so nicely put on the linings and the pocket flaps. Oh my gosh. And then just with like the hairstyle is really well reflected in the collar of the jacket with the fur. And it even seems like he has maybe a little bit of a ascot or maybe like a ruffled necktie or shirt situation going on under that. Great texture, great dimension, and just great overall breaking up of the colors with strategic lining. So sharp, simple too, but it doesn't have to be too much to just absolutely slay. Okay, let's get into Team Star. I like Team Star overall. I didn't finish book Scarlet and Violet because I just got really bored with the game, so I didn't get to play all the other like leaders or antagonists in the rest of the group. But I just love the unique personal style that I feel like each of them has. It's even far above and beyond any of the other groups. And I feel like Scarlet and Violet in general really went there, whether it be the technology, whatever. They just really went there and I think incorporated some strong fashion and statement items. And as far as the grunts, they just look like regular people. I know they're like students, but it's just like that personal style element is definitely evident. We're getting suspenders hanging off on the side. I talked about that in KOF, loving it. And I just like the overall kind of nonchalant, unbuttoned element of the shirts and just the neckties as well with the star emblem. I think the helmets and the goggles are a little obnoxious, but honestly, that's the least I can say compared to some of the other elements in the other teams. We're just getting so much more personality here, which is fun. Giacomo's look is so fun. I love it. It's sporty, cool. I don't want to say cyberpunk. I feel like I've been throwing that around a lot because I've covered some cyberpunk elements in research, but I mean, it definitely gives a little bit of a techie, futuristic vibe. Obviously, just with his accessories going on, like the laptop and the headphones. Great dimension play going on here and nice use of color just to help pop, especially against the predominance of the black within the look. I like how long the top and the jacket are over the pants. It just kind of gives him a little more gravity and a little bit more presence. And overall, the layering is just so well done. I mean, between the backpack and the vest and the under button-up shirt with the collar, there's just so much to appreciate here. Mella's look is crazy in the best way, though. Those boots are like runway ready boots. That's art. What? And then the big statement red belt, like, wow. And the top gives some body confidence just with some shoulder and a little bit of some neck. And I like how the white is just like unstructured and almost like torn apart, and how that falls just so nicely against the black. Again, giving that nice dimensional play. And then she even has a really crazy statement choker. This is like alternative style on steroids, which is so crazy and so cool. She's absolutely on fire. Atticus is definitely screaming poison. Like, it's blatantly obvious. I like, and I feel like that was the case with one of the trainers from Sword and Shield that was part of the expansion. I've noticed that clearly Pokemon likes to play with some like magenta, purple, green, black situation. So we definitely have that toxic like spray paint or paint splatter vibe going on here, just to kind of give the sludge like element. That's not my favorite. I think it looks kind of weird. I would never wear anything like this. But I feel like as far as something creative, statement, personal, this is definitely pulling it off. Ortega's look is so cute. Oh my gosh, is that gold? Like so many strong gold and just light yellow elements going on here. Obviously serving fairy type, loving kind of like the fairy pixie wing bow tie going on and how we see that even in his rod or his staff. And really just overall, the color palette's excellent. A softer pink that's not bubblegum pink. I'm loving the more kind of washed out, dusty rose situation. And just everything coordinates well so perfectly. There's even like some kind of gold studded elements coming around the waist to almost like make like a belted jacket. We've talked about this. Loving it. So Aries' look scares me. This is a lot. She almost looks like a luchador, like just with the face paint. I don't like the face paint. Didn't like it on Team Yell, definitely don't like it here. And the look overall is really kind of crazy, but it's so dimensional and flowy. And I feel like you can kind of just get lost in how all of that fabric is just interplaying and just combined. Again, great layering going on here with some cool textural elements like the studs and the spikes. There's also like an interesting design in the black kind of cape or coat that she has around her shoulders, and just with a little bit of sprinkle of silver just to kind of differentiate the black and the white a little bit more. All right, I don't know. Penny wasn't a favorite character from the second that I saw her. I don't really vibe with this outfit compared to all the other outfits we've seen. The story that she's experienced makes a lot of sense, like bullied, shy. I feel like I definitely get that. I guess it's just the hoodie. I like the dimensional play with the long hoodie, the tights or the kind of leggings, and then the boots. And I don't like the kind of mixture and throw in of the red and the blue. I just don't really feel like that's complimentary, flattering, or really does the outfit any justice. But I love that oversized Eevee backpack. That is my favorite element. I would have loved if maybe we could have just coordinated with that better. But I have to give the top spot to the Aether Foundation because what did I just say before about white and gold? They live white and gold. Like, I just love their outfits so much. Like even the grunts just have like these interesting like pockets that just don't make the outfits look flat whatsoever. So sophisticated, so chic. Like what is going on? Like Wick's look is so cute. Like just with the pink going on, the hairstyle is so cute. The glasses, and just like the wideness of the sleeves. And I just love how the skirt blends in so well with like the boots, or maybe even if she has some leggings or stockings going on there. Just enough gold. I dare say I would have maybe liked to see a belt around the dress. That might have been a little too much. I know that I think they have enough kind of white space in their looks to kind of keep that fresh, maybe foundation, corporate energy going. But overall, I just love the pink in this. And I just think it's such a cute look. Faba also kind of continues this energy. The green definitely gives more kind of slimy and grimy. And I think that kind of reflects his character well because he ends up joining Team Rainbow Rocket as well. So, I mean, he definitely seems like the more sinister, genuinely. And I feel like just like the silhouette, the energy and the vibe is totally sold there. Loving the jacket. And I just love how a lot of these characters have like a pant boot combination going on. We've seen that across a number of the villainous teams. And I just think that the green could have taken away, but it actually kind of has a good relationship with the gold just because it's within maybe the yellow family a little bit. So, and just that jacket is so cool, particularly the collar. But you know, the top spot's got to go to Lusamine. Look at her. From superficially just looking at the games from the outside, because I didn't play this one either. I thought she was like a hero or like a guiding force for the protagonist. She just looks so chic, and I think that kind of deceitful, nurturing, kind of welcoming, inviting look is an interesting contrast to maybe some of the kind of contaminated motives that she got from the Pokemon that influenced her. But I also love that the wiki mentioned that she's a fashion girly, and she tries to get, and she makes sure the rest of her team is in line. She's like, I'm looking sharp, I'm looking clean. The rest of y'all gonna look clean too. I like that she has some black in the mix of her look. And I feel like that just kind of breaks it up and makes her look a little more authoritative and assertive. I definitely want to know what your favorite villainess or antagonist team is. How would you rank them? Like, who's your top? Who's your worst? Let me know in the comments. And even though we're taking a little bit of a break from this Pokemon series because we got to cover some other stuff, I'm very much looking forward to coming back. But I really appreciate you for making it this far, as always. But until the next video, I'll talk to you later.